Okay, so last week we talked a little bit about converting decimals to fractions. So we're going to take a little bit of notes on that today. So we're going to label it converting decimals to fractions. And the first thing we're going to do on there is we're just going to take the definition of a terminating decimal. So again, we've got terminating decimal. And this is a decimal that ends. So that word terminating just means that it ends. Then an example of that is something like this or like this. Then we go ahead and we're going to talk about a repeating decimal. So these are the two types of decimals that we can have where it will be a rational number. I've got the terminating decimal and the repeating decimal. This repeats the same sequence forever. So this means that a repeating decimal does go on forever, but it is still a rational number because it's repeating the same pattern. An example of this are examples like this. We see the same numbers over and over again going on forever. And we would write that with our bar notation. So we put that bar over the two numbers that are repeating. So we'll go ahead and put that in our notes as well, that bar notation. So you write the sequence that repeats with a bar on top. So basically that sequence is just the two numbers that repeat. We take those numbers and we put the line over them. So if I have 9.183333, the thing that's repeating there is just my 3. So I would write it as 9.183 and put the bar over just that 3 there. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to kind of break it down into sections of terminating and repeating. So on one side I've got terminating. We'll go ahead and break that page in half there. So I've got my terminating. My example here is that I have 6/10. Now, we're going to actually go into examples of working on how to write this into a fraction. So first, I'm going to change it. I'm going to do 6/10, and then I simplify it to 3/5. Again, I simplify it because both of them can be divided by 2. And so 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. That's my answer there. So the steps were, number 1, read the decimal correctly. So again, we'll go over the fact that that should have been called 6/10 because I have one number after the decimal. So that is called 6/10. So the first step is that we read the decimal correctly. Then number 2, we ask ourselves, can it simplify? In this case, it could. We went from 6/10 to 3/5. Then I'm going to quickly go over just our decimal places in case we forget how to read the decimal correctly. If I have something like 0.7489, my first place here is called tenths. So that 7 there is my tenths. The 4 there is my hundredths. The 8 is thousandths. And then the last one then would be 10 thousandths. So again, one number after is just tenths, 2 numbers after is hundredths, 3 is thousandths, 4 is 10,000ths. Then I'm going to have you do a try it on your own. So go and try on your own to change these decimals to fractions. So I have 375 thousandths and I have 25 hundredths. Go ahead and do those and I will come around and check those while you guys are doing this. Then next we're going to move on and we're going to do the repeating section. So we have our terminating, which means that there's decimals at end, and now we're going to do the repeating, and those are the ones that have a pattern that repeats forever. Remember again that these are both rational numbers. Repeating and terminating decimals are rational numbers. So I've got repeating. My example here is something like 0.454545, and those little dots just mean it goes on forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it as just the two numbers that repeat with my bar notation, and then I would set it up like 45 over 100, but since it's repeating, we subtract 1 from the denominator. So it becomes 45 over 99. Then I simplify. I can divide both of them by 9, and I get 5 over 11. So the first step here is to rewrite in bar notation. Remember, that means that I'm just writing it so I don't have the numbers repeating. I'm writing the two numbers that repeat with the line over it. So rewrite in bar notation. Then number 2, read decimal correctly. So that's again to the correct place. In this case, I have two numbers after, so it would be 100. And then number 3, I subtract 1 from the denominator. In this case, it was 100, so if I subtract 1, I get 99. Subtract 1 from the denominator, and then step number 4, can it simplify? And again, I'm going to simplify. This one did simplify, so I did simplify it. And then I'll give you a try at your own on this one. And you've got 2 on there. So go ahead and try those on your own, and I will come by and check those. Make sure you have all of this information in your notes.